All right. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, please. When you are done, just end the meeting. Not
Sure,
leave.
please.
Not just leave. End so that everyone will leave at the same time.
Sure, please.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Ladies, if you can hear me, kindly respond.
Good morning, I can hear you.
All right, great. Thank you, Zainab.
Welcome, ma.
Okay, so we would start immediately. Welcome to another exciting training for our Azure fundamentals. Last week we also started this way, which was our first class. We looked at cloud computing. We understood the deployment models and delivery models, and we also talked about serverless computing when we're talking about the um, different models that we have, different computing services. Now today, continuation of our Azure fundamental training, we'll be looking at core Azure services in this module. And today we'll also be trying some hands-on. So which means we'll do a little bit of discussion and we'll also go ahead to have our hands-on experience, which we refer to as labs. All right, so before I go deeply into this training, I think I would like to bring up something. All right, so let me bring this up. Let me share my screen. I wanted us to see a video, just to sensitize before we go into the activity for today. All right, please let me know once you're able to see my screen and you can hear the audio. So I want us to see a video so that it prepare our mind to what we'll be looking at today.
As we're looking forward to the 21st century, what is going to be the foundation of innovation is cloud. It's going to be data centers.
Everyone thinks the cloud is up there. The cloud is actually up there and down here. Data centers are the foundation to the cloud. They're the building block. We take what turns from concrete and steel and fiber and copper and power and turn it into a product and a service.
Customers come to the cloud because they want the latest and greatest technologies. They want to be able to deploy that anywhere in the globe at any time without any constraints.
Microsoft's cloud serves over 1 billion customers and over 20 million companies worldwide.
We're challenged to deliver availability, safety, security, and then also meet customers' growth demands. We still want that innovation, but we want to be able to multiply it rapidly every time.
So that leads to us finding a very scalable approach to the hardware so that it can be deployed at massive scale across the data center footprint that we have across the globe.
Microsoft runs on trust. Cloud services in general run on trust.
Trust actually is one of those things where it's not something that you really provide, it's something that you earn.
Customers are taking their data, their processes, their livelihoods in a very real way and giving those to us in order to enable us to run them better.
We have a strong focus on data privacy, making sure that your data is always under your own control.
Our focus when we're looking at our renewable energy goals and our carbon reduction goals is largely around innovation. Really disconnecting growth from impact and ensuring that we can continue to grow our portfolio, but do it with less of an impact on the environment around us. We want to operate responsibly. We want our customers to know that this is a value for us and something that we're committed to.
There's no limit to the innovation within Microsoft. This is for the long term and for society in the long term and our customers in the long term.
We're just getting started. There's a lot of cool innovations on the horizon.
All right. Thank you for that. So there's a part 2 of this, which I would equally play as well. And before we start the training proper.
The overarching goal of Project Natick is to evaluate the feasibility of underwater data centers. Phase 1 was just to be able to figure out, can we get computers into a container and can we deploy them in the water without it leaking, and do the computers survive and how well do they last? Phase 2 was to show that we can make it in a manufacturable production scale component. So the container behind me, it fits on a trailer, it fits on a cargo ship, and it allows us to actually build up this data center to any size that we want.
Orkney is a great place for this partnership because they've got renewable energy for 100% and more of their grid power.
Computers are not designed to work in the environment that we humans operate. So things like oxygen, moisture in the air, that is really bad for computers. It causes corrosion on the components. You also get temperature fluctuations. So the heat from night to day and summer to winter can cause those components to fail. And so we had this theory that if we're in a really stable environment, we're in this cylinder, we've taken all the oxygen out, we've controlled the humidity, no one's walking around, there's nobody bumping things or causing any additional failures, that we'd see better reliability. And so far as we've been monitoring this and the data center that we have on land that are using the same components, we see 1/8 the failure rate in the ocean data center than we do on land. We've got some good data on reliability. We've proven out that we can do this whole deployment process. Now let's finish the story and let's show that we can do the retrieval and we can do the recycling once it does reach end of life, and make sure that that entire cycle is possible.
This project gives us the ability to feel like we're working not just on computers, not just on data centers, but on sort of moving forward environmental responsibility as a company and as individuals.
I mean, everybody uses the cloud. Everybody needs data centers. This need isn't going to go away. We're going to continue to build larger data centers and use more electricity because the demand is there and the demand keeps growing. But how can we do it that's better for the environment and that's just better for us as a people?
All right, thank you for watching that. So I welcome everyone again to this training of our Azure fundamentals, which we'll be looking at
8 million data centers around the world are processing our entire online.
So which we'll be looking at the core Azure services. Okay, so for those that are not able to join, they have the video is recorded, and you can tell your friends or those that are not around to watch the video and check what we've done today. Okay. Once again, my name is Oluwatosin Anishere. For those of you that are joining this training for the first time, okay, a coach, mentor, and instructor for Textiler as a volunteer, and my daily job, I'm actually a cloud infrastructure and Microsoft security consultant. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer. Okay, remember our house rules. If you're not asking questions, or you're not contributing, or you can please mute your mic. Now this is to avoid distraction to our fellow textilers than in here. That's the essence. And if you need to ask a question, you could use the raise your hand icon that you have on the Teams. Sometimes there could be an oversight. I'm not saying you raise your hand and all. It's okay. You have room to interrupt, to call me out to say, Tosin, please, I need clarification of this, or Tosin, So I would, you have that room. So I'm letting you know you have the permission to do so, because sometimes I could miss out you raising your hand. So in that instance, you can please go ahead to interrupt me. Hey, now the module outline for this second part of the training is to look at the following. We'll look at the Azure architecture components. We'll look at the core Azure resources. Now, I'm not going to rush things, so which means we may not consume everything we have here on the outline. The essence is to give us room to be able to do labs, because today we would not only have the lecture or discussion, we'll equally have our hands-on experience wherein we'll practice some of these things with regards to Azure. Okay, so we may not consume this outline today. We have just 2 hours window. So we will continue, next week, or as the week goes by. The most important thing is we're able to get the information, that is being passed across, and we're able to understand it rather than rushing to, exhaust all what we have here. So what we'll be starting with is the core Azure architectural components. And this is the reason why I showed us the video initially. The video I showed us was about data center. And you may be wondering, what's this data center? We talked about it last week when we were treating cloud computing. Now, this data center is just the video you see. The video you saw was Microsoft data center. Now, the data center is just a physical building, that contains thousands and thousands of physical servers. Those servers, they have their own power, they have their own cooling system, they have their own networking infrastructure. In fact, we also have the data center undercover, so which means we don't only have the data center on land, we equally have that underwater. I mean, Microsoft have that underwater. Okay, now the essence of this is to be able to provide more Azure services to customers out there, and that is cloud itself. Remember, we said cloud is not just an abstract thing, it's taking up services from hosting providers, the likes of Microsoft, the likes of AWS, the likes of Google. But our focus, hosting provider here is Microsoft, because we are looking at Microsoft products, which is Microsoft Azure. Now, those data center, whenever people like you and I, or organizations, subscribe to the Azure services, what happens is we are trying to take up space in those data centers that have been built. So rather than us building those physical data center to for our own organization and all, we can just leverage. So like we're renting space. I mentioned that last week. So again, the video we watch is just for you to have an idea of how big, of how vast Microsoft data center is. How they have this data center on land and in water that houses a group of network servers. That's the idea behind the video we just watched. So here we would look at the core Azure architectural component, where we would describe the benefit and usage of regions and regions pair. We'll look at what availability zone is. We'll look at what Azure resources is, resource group, Azure resource manager, subscription, and Azure management group. Now, we have seen that video would actually help us to understand these things better. That was the essence of the video once again. So when we say regions, you know, um, yeah, Azure has various regions. We have over 60 regions in 140 countries. That is how much Azure is in different areas, and they are growing each day. So we can describe a region particularly to be like a geographic area, where we have multiple data centers. So imagine the video you saw, the data center you saw in that video, that may be just a particular region. So we have that replica in different regions, which means we have them in over 60 regions, and each region you could have more than one data center in these different regions. So we could put it this way, for our understanding, to say Azure region is set of data centers that are connected through probably a dedicated network, just like we saw in that video. Now, the region has these data centers, like I said. What we have on the screen here says regions that are made up of one or more data center in close proximity. They provide flexible and scale to reduce customer latency. They preserve data residency with comprehensive compliance offering. Now, what do we mean by data residency? It's actually where our data resides. Okay, so our data resides in any of these regions that Microsoft has to offer. Okay, so basically the region is there for customers who are trying to deploy their resources. Now customers leverage on region based on, okay, which region is closest to me, in terms of latency, because the data usually travel data travel at speed of light, and for that reason latency occurs. Okay, so most customers, or should I say most, customers, users, organizations, these organizations are customers to Microsoft. So when I say customers, I believe you understand what I meant. Now they choose their region based on proximity. Like, okay, let's choose the region closest to us, such that we have this reduced latency that occurs. And sometimes they could choose, customers could choose region based on where it's closest to their users. Some organizations find they subscribe to Azure and all, but those they have their own users, in another region or thereabout. So they could choose regions based on where it's closest to them. Another reason for this region could be probably based on data sovereignty. What that means is it's just like saying you are in, okay, let me say a country like maybe any European country, and you're trying to choose a region in Asia, then for the purpose of GDPR, because there's some compliance issue that require you to have your data in your region. So for this reason, Microsoft has regions, this over 60 regions for them. So when it comes to US government, they have their own dedicated data center. They have their own region. So different from the other data centers that customers could leverage on. So when it comes to that, Azure, Microsoft has have this US government zone for, they have their own data center that is dedicated to them. The same thing for China. That China, there's no one, you can't just do business in China without, they have their own policy, let me put it that way. So based on their policy, Microsoft also has a dedicated data center for China. There's something we call clusters, and based on this cluster, Microsoft has dedicated cluster for US, for China, as well as Germany. I think for China, they refer to their cluster as mooncake. Then that of Germany, I think, is called Dark Forest, and that of the US is called Fairfax. So those are their dedicated region. So in Africa, I know we have in South Africa. So for instance, uh, if you're in Nigeria and you're trying to uh, what's it called, deploy a resource, and you have to choose a region where your resource will reside. So what you can basically do is choose the region that is closest to your country. Since Microsoft does not have data center in your country, you can pick the closest region. I don't know if you understand me. So that's a region. That video we saw, permit me to always make reference to it, is just to show you what the data center looks like, how give you an idea what the data center looks like. And those data center are in different countries, in different regions. You understand? We can have more than one, more than one data center in these countries or in this region. So remember, we have over 60 regions that are being represented in over 140 countries and still growing. Microsoft is not stopping anytime soon. I know of Qatar, is one of the newest region. I know of Israel. They are not stopping. They are keep going on. Just like what we can see on the screen here, they'll tell you of announced region. You can see here Mexico Central is an announced region. We have Israel as announced region. We have Spain Central, Poland Central, Italy North, New Zealand, and so on and so forth. And they keep growing like that. So these are the regions we have in Azure. Now let's talk about region pairs and what's even the essence of these region pairs. Now the essence of region pairs here is for high availability, if I can put it that way. For high availability, that's why Microsoft has region pairs. So the what that means is they have their data center in different region, and each of these region there's like a mapping such that you can have a failover in case something goes wrong, probably as a result of natural disaster, or just to avoid interruption, just to avoid a disruption. That's the essence why there's this region pair. So it's just like in at home, we have data supply. Now, those in Nigeria can relate better. There could be a power interruption at any time. So what people do, which they call backup, is to have probably generator or to have an inverter. Okay, so I think I'll concentrate on inverter. Now, when power supply is being disrupted, there is a failover to your inverter, which means nothing goes out. So you still have your light on, you still have your fan, besides, probably some of your appliances that is not connected to the inverter. Now, the essence of that is why availability, that is, there will always be lights. I don't know if you're getting me, and this is giving an example for those of us that in Nigeria, you can relate with this scenario of light and all of it. So the same thing with region pairs. Okay, Microsoft has you know um, another region within the same geography, okay, such that there is always high availability. We'll talk about SLAs very soon, because Microsoft will always promise their customers in 99.9% SLA, okay, ensuring that there is high availability. You always have your data, you always connect to your data, and the question in mind is always, what happens, if there is a natural disaster, probably hurricane, probably tsunami, probably war. So what happens to those data center Microsoft has put up in a particular region or in a particular country, so to say? That way, Microsoft has prepared for that. They have been proactive about that to, plan ahead to say, if anything goes wrong in this particular region, we still have our commitment, our SLA commitment to ensure high availability. That's why there is this paired region. From what is listed on the screen, you can see that we have at least 300 miles of separation between regions. And there's usually automatic replication for some services, so which means whatever is in a particular region, there's a replication in place. If anything happens to the first region, because there's a replication, it failovers to the other. There's an available region on standby that it fails over to, such that the data is not the entire customer data is not out. Now, prioritize region recovery in the event of outage is possible. So what do we mean by that? Because maybe a particular region is being affected, and we have the paired region, which is the redundant which is redundant for failover. We can replicate from this other paired region, okay, to spin up another pair region, just to ensure there is high availability. So that's why we have this, and updates are usually rolled out sequentially to minimize downtime. So if there's a natural disaster and all, there is always an update that is being rolled out to customer to let customer know, okay, there's a downtime, we'll be doing storage failover, or we have a time to know, is being told. And this usually Microsoft will still commit to their SLA, their service level agreement. So that's with regards to this pairing. So each zone, okay, we'll also talk about geography. I think is the next slide. We'll understand what geography is. But then remember, if that's the only thing you can take home, that the region pair is to ensure high availability, such that when there's a disaster, whether it's a natural disaster or as a result of one thereabout, we still have another region available for failover. So let's look at what geography is. For Azure geography, in essence, it's just, let me say, geography is just an area. I'm sure we all know what geography is. Now, it's an area around the world, or an area, yeah, around the world, so to say, that usually contains more than one Azure region. Okay, so that's what we refer to as geography. Now, the essence of this geography is most time customers do not want to host their application, outside probably their region or their country and thereabout. So imagine you being in, let's say, India, just using that for as an example, and that's the Asia part of the world, and you want to spin up maybe a VM, for instance, which is a resource. In this case, don't worry, we'll still look at what our resources are in Azure. And you're picking a region in US. Sometimes you don't even want to do that. So for that reason, we have this geography is what this is what brought about the Azure regions. Another reason for Azure region in terms of geography is it could be for compliance reasons. There are some countries that you have to follow their compliance regulations. They will tell you, okay, you cannot have our data, or people's data outside the country you reside. That's the compliance. The compliance could be for financial sector, it could be for healthcare, it could be for anything. It depends on countries. I'm sure you know about some of our own banking policy that CBN brought in Nigeria here for so that you can relate. So things change. There are usually policies, and so on and so forth. So for that reason, Microsoft has these Azure regions in different places all over the world. What's on the screen here is letting us know that a discrete market that preserve data residency and compliance boundary. Remember, data residency, I explained to us, is where our data resides. Okay, and typically can contain two or more regions. So in the particular area around the world, which is the geography, we can have it can contain two or more regions, and in a particular region we can have more than one data center. Okay, now this data center, if you can imagine the size of a football field, and you can picture it 10 times, a size of a standard football field, and 10 times that size is where they build like a single data center. You have racks, you have computing components or equipment, you have networking equipment, you have storage. Now, each rack can contain like 15 to 20 servers, like that are networked together. And on this rack, you could have like 40 to 50 rack in a particular container, and you could have hundreds of container in the data center, and you can just keep picturing it like that. It's big, it's large. So the geography allows customers with a specific data residency and compliance. Just like I've said, that some countries, their compliance could be based on their financial part, financial sector, like customers' data cannot reside outside, the region or the country. It could be else, just like I've mentioned earlier. So for that instance, we have more Azure region, and now it's categorized into Asia, Europe, Asia Pacific, Middle East, Africa, and all. So sometimes you will see the region, they'll tell you the EMEA region, that is East Middle East Africa. They could tell you NOAM region, North America region. They tell you APAC, Asia Pacific. These are the different regions that is being categorized into. Now let's move on to talk about availability options. Okay, now like I said, Microsoft will always promise you a 99.9%. Now this is even an example of a VM SLA. VM is a resource in Azure, is a compute resource. So we would still look at that. Now, why are we bringing availability option in this instance? A single VM that you spin up or you deploy, like we'll be doing that today. We'll have our lab session and you'll see how to create a VM. It's usually easy for lift and shift. This can happen in places of when you have on-premises and cloud and you're trying to migrate, you can have this lift and shift preference. I'm not going to go deep into that. I'll let us get to when we're talking about all of these compute resources. So I won't go deep, but I'm trying to bring out the to talk about availability option. So let me explain it in terms of availability zone. Okay, so for availability zone is usually physically separate data centers that are within a particular region. So what that means is in an availability zone, you would have more than one data center that includes, the computing equipment like servers, that includes power, that includes cooling system, network equipment, and so on and so forth. Now, each availability zone, we have more than one data center, you know, uh, just like this. So I know we have region. We said regions has more than one data center. Fine. We are not talking about availability zone. Letting you know that the availability zone is made up of this more than one data center. So which means in the availability zone, when you're having more than one data center, it's if for any reason a particular data center it goes down, there you still have more that is up and running. Now this is different from region pair. Region pair is if a particular region goes down. Let's take for instance the EMEA region, East Middle East Africa. That's like combined, huge. There's another paired region for that. Okay, so I'm now talking about availability zone in terms of in an availability zone there are several data center. For if a particular data center goes down, there is another one. So it's giving us option for this. There's something called redundancy strategy. I'm not going to go deep into that now so that I don't, overwhelm you with too many information at the same time. So I'm trying to break it down and pick it in bits. So again, this availability zone, usually when customers or users are trying to spin up or deploy a particular resource, which in this instance is a VM, you have options of availability zone, such that when you pick up this zone, it can replicate in different data center. So such that if one goes down for any reason whatsoever, your data is still available from the other zones. So in essence, in an availability zone, at least you would have three, just like you see in this picture. You have three. If anyone goes down, these two are still up and running for you. Don't forget, it's different from region pair. Okay. Now, next here is the region pair. As you can see, this is a particular region, which means in this particular region, we have availability zone. And in the availability zone, you have more than one data center. I don't know if you are able to picture it. I think I would ask, leave it as who has any question around this, because I know it could be a little bit confusing. Any question before I move on to the next slide? Any questions so far? Or probably someone wants to recap to say, okay, Tosin, based on my understanding, this is what I think I'm able to get. Anyone can do that. That way I'll be able to know that I'm able to pass the message to you in a way that you are able to understand.
Please, I want to
Anyone?
ask if you could actually just summarize each of the zones again one by one. I got lost somewhere in between.
Okay. Yes, I can do that, definitely. So,
Sorry.
Thank you.
You
yes,
were
please.
talking about a video. I don't know if is it the video we watched in the last class or like there was a video in this class.
Yes, there was a video. I don't know if you are opportune to join early. So there was a video we actually watched, at the beginning of the class. Don't worry, it was recorded, which means after the training, you can, make reference and watch it again. Okay, so there was a video we watched that you're able to picture what the data center looks like. Okay, so yes, we did watch a video. Okay, so go ahead. I'm listening. I thought someone is trying to say something.
No.
All right. Okay, so for the initial person that asked the question for me to go over it again, yes, I can do that. Now, we have region. Remember what I said a region was. We said is a geographical area, whereby we have multiple data center. That's a region. Now we have region pair. Now what that region pair is, Microsoft would always pair a region with another, such that if there is disaster in a particular region, it will give room, the region pair gives room for replication of our resources across the geography, such that it helps us to minimize the likelihood of interruption. So if anything goes wrong in a particular region, there is an automatic failover to another region that is being paired to. Let me break it down to an understanding to say, that was why I was using the example of power supply and an inverter. If there's a power disruption, probably uh, power outage or anything that happens with PACN and whatever, because you have your inverter in place, there is a failover. Remember that when there was that power supply, the inverter as at that moment was charging. You get so the same thing with region pair. There is a replication. All your resources that you have in region 1 is being replicated in region 2, such that if anything, there's an if statement. It's not like something will happen, but you cannot just but know. So there's that if plan, that proactive measure of if anything happens, Maybe it's war, as a result of war. Maybe it's as a result of natural disaster. It could be as a result of anything, climate change, whatever. Think of it. Okay, there is that paired region where it has replicated resources from one region to another. There's that second region that is available to kickstart, and this is not something that is being done manually. One fails automatically, the other is up. That's why we call it failover. It failovers to the other. That's region pair. Now I'm not bringing out availability zone. Now the availability zone here is still within a region, which means the availability zone here is just to ensure that your data is being protected in case of failure. That's the essence. And this availability zone is we having, I'm sorry I'm saying we, I think usually I train Microsoft courses a lot, and I'm part of the Enterprise Skills Initiative program that is being done. So I usually represent the we for Microsoft. So permit me, pardon me when you hear the we in this system. I'm just trying to represent Microsoft here. So what I'm saying in essence for the availability zone is there's usually a separate data center in a particular region. Okay, so if in this region we can have tons of data center, and this data center are usually physically in different places. So let's take for instance now that Nigeria is a region, just saying, and in Nigeria we have data. We have the availability zone. So in Nigeria, let's take Lagos, for instance, which means we have a very big data center in Lagos. We can have another one in Ibadan. We can have another one in Abeokuta. They are distance apart, so that if anything happens in Lagos, Abeokuta is up and running for the failover. If anything happens to Abeokuta, Ilorin is up and running. So we can put it like this: like in Nigeria, we have uh, the southwest. We have the east. There such region in Nigeria, and that way we have data center. We know that okay, in the east, the likes of Port Harcourt, we have region. Permit me that I'm using Nigeria as an example. I'm just looking for something common that people in here can relate to it, and that's why I'm using Nigeria. So please permit me with my example. So once that in the east region, we could have like data center in Port Harcourt, you could have in Aba or so that if anything happens in that data center, if anything happens in Port Harcourt, there is Aba available, to kick up and running. So there are usually 3 of them in a zone. I don't know if you're getting me now. So each zone again is made up of
Yes, I
more
am.
than one
Following.
data center. Okay, so the whole essence of this availability zone is in case of failure. The bigger picture is region pair, because in the availability zone is usually within one region, a particular region. It could be Europe, it could just be Africa. Okay, but there's a region pair such that they may pair Africa with Europe, such that if the entire Africa is down, just saying, there's a paired region of Europe standby. Although it's a very rare occasion for the entire Africa to be down, but I'm just saying Microsoft planned to that extent to say we don't know, but let's just assume everything we have in Africa goes down. But there's a paired region. Let me go back to the slide one more time. Okay, so there's a paired region. Look at this region. North Central US is paired to South Central US, so that if anything goes wrong, here, it's available in the South Central US to pick up, to be the failover. The same thing, West US for East US, like that. So there's this pairing that is being done. Like if this with this singular region, East US, is down as a result of disaster, the West US automatically is up and running. The essence of this is to ensure high availability and protection of your data. I don't know for the person that asked question if that is clear now.
Yes, my please.
All right. So please permit me to move on. So this is a clearer picture now for availability zone. Just like you can see here, it says it provides protection against downtime due to data center failure. It's physically separated or physically separate data center within the same region, just like I've explained to us. And each data center is equipped, connected through private fiber optics and all. That's just giving details. It's something I've already explained. You have a particular region. There's availability zone 1, availability zone 2, availability zone 3. If anything happens to zone 1, now it may not even be a natural disaster occurrence. It may just be that, oh, okay, power went out. It's a rare instance. I'm just saying, maybe it was power failure, and as a result the entire data center in zone 1 is down. Now it shouldn't affect customer, right? It will fail over to zone 2. Okay, that's why in a particular region there's like availability zone, data center here, data center here, just more than one data center. All right, I know I've explained. This is just to give you, to further buttress the availability zone. Now let's look at Azure resources. Azure resources. Now what are these resources? Just like what we have on the screen here. So resources are usually an instance of our Azure service. We are subscribing to Azure, to say, okay, we want to leverage and use Azure for this particular reason or to do this. So we have resources that are being used. Now these resources, we refer to them as instance of that Azure service. You have the like of virtual machines. We have the likes of storage account, the VNet, virtual network, app services, SQL data, functions, and so on and so forth. Even serverless, we still talk about the serverless computing aspect and all. So these are resources. Okay, when you create a resources or a resource rather, what you're doing is you are creating an instance of an Azure service, and this you can create on your portal. You can create it on the Azure portal. Remember I said we'll be doing lab today. So basically uh, each of these resources that you can see on the screen, they're being managed and they're available through Azure, and they've been managed by customers. So we have them. Now what we have here, for instance, the virtual machine is an EAS, infrastructure as a service, app service, what's it called, platform as a service, and so on and so forth like that. Okay, so this is what we refer to as our resources. Okay, let me even make it more clearer. Remember I said we're going to be doing lab, but let me just bring this up quickly. We're still going to do our lab. I'll show you how to have a subscription and an account. So for instance, this is, how did I get here? Let me start all over again. So I went to portal.azure.com. Please don't get confused. I'm still going to have the lab session where I would show you how to create, or to subscribe to have an account. Okay, such that in that way, that's where we'll always be doing our labs. Okay, but this is me just showing you my environment to talk about resources. So if we go here, all resources, you see we have, okay, this is my own resources, but let me go to all services. Now these are all the services we have within Azure resources. We have the compute resources, we have the networking resources, storage, web, mobile, container, database, and the list goes on. Even up to other management and governance. Think of it, everything is there. Now if I click on compute, I have all these available compute services that I can create. So these are the things we refer to as resources. Remember I said it's an instance, of an Azure service. So all of these are Azure services. Now, these are instance of Azure service. Like I said, we get to create this thing. You can create it on the portal. Okay, and you can create hundreds of resources in your environment. Please, ladies, don't worry. We are still going to have our answer session for those of us that may not have this what's it called environment. We will spin up one for you to see, and that's where we'll keep doing our lab. Moving on. So that's with regards to resources. Let's talk about resource group. Now we know what a resource is. That is an instance of Azure service. Okay. Now what's resource group itself? Now a resource group here, I refer to it as a container, you know, a logical container, so to say, where which houses our resources. So all of these resources, there's a resource group that houses them. Okay, so usually when you deploy one resource, you always deploy a resource in a resource group. Okay, now the essence of this is probably to track maybe your execution, or the essence of it is just to have your environment organized, so to say, or maybe for a life cycle you could have that. Now resources can exist in only one resource group, okay, and resources can exist in different region. Now resources can be moved from one resource group to another. What that means, let me see if I can bring up whiteboard. 1 minute, please. May have to stop sharing and reshare. Maybe I can bring up whiteboard. Sorry, just let me do that quickly so that describe to us. Okay, now this is taking time. I'll do that much later. I just want to, describe something to us. Let me see if I can use paint since my whiteboard is taking time. I don't know. So let me see if I can bring up paint just to describe. Please, I able to see my screen, and I hope it's bold enough.
Yes, you can.
All right, thank you. So let's take this to be a resource group. So let's say this is resource group 1. And this is resource group 2. Okay, I don't know why. Now in this resource group, I can have resources like the compute resources like VM. I can have for storage. I can have for app service. I can have for, so in essence, this resource group is um is a container that houses our resource. The same thing. Resource group 2, I could have, different resources within them. Now for this resource group, this is usually attached to, no, this is not what I need, sorry, this is usually attached to a particular region. Let me represent cloud as a region. So region. So their region can be, probably East US or West US or whatever. This is another region. Okay, so what I'm saying in essence is our resource group, again, is a container. It houses resources. Okay. The when we deploy these resources, it becomes our job, or it becomes a job, and once you deploy. So the resource group is usually associated to a region. So when you're creating resource group, you always ask what region do you want your subscription to be in. So your resource group 1 can be in, let's say, West US. Your resource group 2 can be in the Europe. You can pick different region. Now, what that tells us is that our resources like VM, we are creating it in maybe West US region. Our resources like another VM, we are putting it in Europe region. I don't know if you are getting the picture, please. So the take home here is that uh, resource group houses a resource, and a resource is usually attached to a particular region. You can have that to a particular region. That is, you can provide location for your resource group. I don't know if you got that, please. Are we understanding? Is anyone lost? If you're lost, I can go over it again.
Yeah, I think I understand.
Okay, thank you for that confirmation. Please, ladies, don't be shy. We are all here to learn, and we're all here to learn from each other. There's no stupid question, there's no stupid answer. Just feel free, and that's how we can learn. If you think you can put it much better based on your understanding for the class to benefit, why not? If not, permit me to say that. Okay, feel free to soak it to say, permit me to recap based on my understanding what I got from you or what I'm able to deduce. Did you mean this? Or that way, you saying it that you're clarifying for yourself and trying to get a confirmation of your understanding, it's fine. You can very well do that. Okay, so that's with regards to resource group. Again, is there any question around resource group before I move on to the next slide? All right, so I'll take your silence as no question for now. Let's talk about resource manager. We know what the resource is. Hello? Okay, fine. I thought someone was trying to call my attention. Okay, we've talked about resource. We know that, okay, each resource can or resources can reside in a resource group. A resource group is a container that houses resources, and a location can be attached to a resource group. Okay, now let's what is a resource manager? Okay, a resource manager here, which we could acronym ARM. Now, basically, we refer to it as management. It's helps manage Azure services or management services for Azure, as the case may be. Okay, so this is just to give like a form of management layer whereby it will help us to be able to create resources. It can help us to update resources. We can help us to delete resources. It can help us to give access control to our resources. It does a lot of things with regards to management. That's what this resource manager does. So it's a service within Azure that actually helps us to, if I can use the word, manage our resources. I don't know if that makes sense to it. Manage our resources. Remember, our resource here is an instance of Azure service. So the resource manager helps us to manage our resources. I don't know if that makes a little sense to us or it makes sense to us at all. So that's what resource manager, it will allow administrator, okay, who have this expertise and understanding to be able to again deploy, just like what you can see here on the screen. It will help them to be able to deploy a task. It will help them to be able to create resources. It will help them to manage. It will help them to monitor. Think of those administrative does the management thing, so to say. The ARM, that's the Azure Resource Manager, allows that, such that it can, based on this management, they can even create something called ARM templates. We will still talk about that. ARM templates, whereby the templates would be, you can use it to redeploy a particular resource, okay, or to deploy resources. Okay, so in summary, we can just say the Azure Resource Manager gives room for management of resources, in quotes. You can put it that way. So that's if you can see, I'm sure you'll be wondering, just we are saying PowerShell, Azure PowerShell, Azure CLI, what does all of this thing means? No, they're just tools. So you can manage your data store, your web app, your virtual machine, service management, any service or resource whatsoever. You can manage them using Azure Portal. You can manage them using PowerShell. You can manage them using CLI. You can manage them using, REST APIs and all. So this Azure Manager, it helps you to provide management, to help you create, to help you deploy. And how do you deploy? Or how do you manage this resource? Or how do you monitor these resources? These are the tools here, okay, that helps us to do that. Okay, I'm sure you can see what's on the screen. Provide management layer that enables you to create, to update, to delete resources. Now, how do you delete? Now, this right here are the tools or Azure Manager tools that helps us to achieve that. Okay. I don't know if you have any question before we move on. Remember, I said we'll be doing lab today. Okay, so any other question before, any question whatsoever before we move on? Okay, let's talk about subscription. Subscription. Okay, please, ladies, if you think if you're lost or anything, please do well to call my attention. I would gladly go back. Again, I may not see your hands up. I may not see you putting questions in the meeting chat. Okay, should in case I'm unable to see that, probably because I'm trying to explain to us the things on the slide, kindly call my attention to it, please. Okay, but fine, if you do not want to ask the question verbally, put it in the meeting chat. I'm sure I will get to see it and I'll read it out and we'll take it together and I'll do sure to explain to you, please. Let's talk about subscription. When you say subscription, basically, in a simple term, you say signing up for. When you sign up for something, you're subscribing to something. You sign up to use DSTV. You're subscribing to DSTV. You sign up to use an app. You're subscribing to that app. You sign up to use a service. You're subscribing to that service. It may be free, okay, and it may cost you. So whichever way, because you want to make use of it, you're signing up to it. So similarly, we can say that with regards to Azure resources. So we can put it to say, Azure subscription. I'm sorry, subscription. So it's providing you, like you signing up with Microsoft for, there's usually an agreement. Yeah, an agreement wherein you are being billed and it provides you access. Let's take, for instance, you sign up to Facebook, just saying. Now, when you sign up for Facebook, it means you're signing up to use that service. Facebook is free, right? I'm sure there are other things you could prefer. Okay, let me use LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn, when you sign up for LinkedIn, it means you're subscribed to LinkedIn and it is free. Okay, but there are some features that are not available for free, in quote, which means you may need to pay to get those features, or to have those features available to you. Now, that's what I'm saying. The subscription is basically an agreement. Okay, the agreement you have in this instance for Azure subscription, you're having an agreement with Microsoft to use their Azure cloud services, and it to provide you with authentication and authorization to the account. What does authentication means? verifying who you are. That's in a simple term what authentication. When you're able to verify a particular user, like, is this person the owner of this account? Okay, yes, is the owner. Then authorization, what access, what do you have access to? Okay, so this subscription will avail you with authentication and authorization, just like I used LinkedIn. If you subscribe to LinkedIn and probably you're paying, now compare it with the person that is using free. Now you that you're paying, whenever you want to access LinkedIn, you have to sign in. So you have to authenticate. If you have not subscribed to LinkedIn, then you won't have access to use LinkedIn. So authenticating is that point where you have to provide your credentials, your username and password. It's just to connote, to identify who you are. Is this person actually a user of our service? Okay, yes, this person is a user of LinkedIn. Why? Because you have subscribed. Now, the that's authentication. The authorization here is, what are the things you have access to? Okay, someone that is able to successfully authenticate to LinkedIn, okay, gets to the page. But what are those things you can do? What are those things you have access to? You may not have access to probably viewing or seeing who viewed your profile, or that's if you have not paid. There's usually service or features that are available to you. So it's, what do you have access to? That's the authorization here. Now this subscription brings about, when you have subscription, we can say you have boundaries with the subscription: the billing boundary and the access control boundary. Now, the billing boundary is how your Azure account is being built when you are using Azure. Remember, we're talking about Azure subscription. How is it being built? Okay, so there's usually a billing report or invoices for each of your subscription. Then access control boundary too. This has to do with managing control access to resources that user provision. So in essence, it's just saying, within a particular organization, users, okay, we have an organization. In an organization, there are different departments. Okay, there are users in different departments. Now, this particular user, what access does he or she have? Okay, based on the subscription. So I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about Azure accounts. Azure account. Now, for Azure account, this is usually a particular account that you utilize, that you utilize to get to subscribe to Azure. I don't know if that makes sense to us. So Azure account, in a way, is that account that is associated and it's being built. That account that has access when you sign up for Azure. Okay, okay, just like we'll be doing today, you would sign up to Azure service. There's an account you would provide at that initial stage when you sign up. Okay, that account that you provide at the initial stage of your sign up, we refer to it as Azure account. Okay, that account is usually linked to your billing. That's the account that will be built. It's like you want to subscribe to DSTV. They would ask you for your information. Okay, now it's that information is what will bring about you having an account with DSTV. I don't know if I'm making sense to us, please. Okay, that's the account that will be say, okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you for the confirmation. That's information you've provided your information to say, okay, I want to start using DSTV. This is my name, this is my email address, these are the things, those basic information. They use that to create an account for you. And sometimes it could come with, ID or whatever, such that whenever you go back to, so when you have an account is when they now give you a probably a subscription card, so that when you want to do a renewal, it's tied to your account. The same thing, there's an Azure account. That first sign up that you do, it creates you, there's this account that has been provisioned, and that account you can have a different subscription tied to the account. Okay, so the account we will create that today, it's something that we would see, and it will make more sense to us. Let's take a look at this diagram on the screen. We have an Azure account. Probably Dolapo has said, okay, I want to subscribe to Azure, I want to sign up to Azure. An Azure account is created at the initial stage of sign up. Now, once you sign up, a subscription is being spun up. Now, in an account, you can have more than one subscription. Okay, now there's a billing method, because for each subscription you'll be billed differently based on the subscription you go for. You can say, okay, I want to have a dev subscription, I want to have a test subscription, I want to have a production subscription. Now this subscription usually comes with licenses, that is, licenses are tied to it. Licenses is what give you access to use a particular cloud service. Okay, so that's it. That's with regards to account and subscription. If you look at this diagram once again, there's a billing account. There's a billing profile for that account. Now, in the billing profile, there's an invoice, and that invoice, subscriptions are tied to it. So it's just I don't want to say too many things that will get us confused altogether. That's why trying to break it down to the barest minimum, because I understand here that there are some people, some ladies here are new to the cloud environment entirely. They are new to Azure environment, while we have some that has an idea already, they are experienced with it. So for the benefit of those that are new to it generally, that's why I'm taking it to the basics, to use the simplest words that could help you to understand. Okay, so permit me when I go really down to the basics, it's just to aid understanding for the ladies in here that are new to the environment. Okay, let's talk about so this is the walkthrough for us to do lab, and basically would assure you how to sign up, and you own a subscription. So in essence, we'll be having probably like a free subscription for now, and we'll be using that for our lab. So with that, we'll also explore the environment to see all the services, just like I demoed using my own environment, but my environment is ready made. We are going to start from the scratch. So we will do that today. Okay. One more thing, which is management group. Now for management groups, what's management groups? Management group here is basically, let's say, let me put it like this, like a container, that helps you to manage access, policy, compliance, subscriptions, and all of it. So this I can refer to as a management group. So most of the time, organizations can have more than one subscription. Like I said, you have an account, then you can have more. So organization can have more than one. They could provision to say, okay, we want to have 5 subscriptions. We want to have 10. We want to have, so they could have so many subscriptions. So this management group would help, in terms of to organize, the subscription. Okay. So if you see the diagram here, there's a management group. Now there are subscriptions. Under each subscription, they have their own resource group. Then each resource group contains resources. So there's like an hierarchy, in this instance. As you can see here, there's like an hierarchy. Now this hierarchy just helps us to organize our resources such that we can have a policy, like a unified policy on them, and we can even have the likes. We can create something called RBAC. We'll look at it. It's called role-based access control, and we can apply RBAC to our resources. So that's with management group. I can put it like this again to say, let me see how I can put it to break it down. So imagine in a tenant, employees have access to resources and all, and you have so many subscriptions. What it means is employees will just be That's for those employees that have admin rights. They would just go ahead to create resources in using any subscription whatsoever, and before you know it, you have this complex view and all. So you can actually use this management group to organize that, such that it helps us to control and manage our environment. We're able to track, to see what's going on, and we can even use that to to control costs, to see how you're being built, to see how you're effectively managing your costs. And these are the 4 levels: the management group level, subscription group, resource group, and resources. I don't know if we are able to get that picture, please. So these are the 4 levels with regards to scope. Again, you have the management group, which is usually the highest in our hierarchy when we're scoping. We have subscription, which means in a management group you can have more than one subscription. In a particular subscription, you can have more than one resource group. In a resource group, you can have more than one resources, and those are the 4 levels, just like we can see here in the diagram. That's our management group. So management group is that first, that top hierarchy. Like I said, it helps us to manage. It gives us an overview. It helps us to control, these resources. I don't know if we have any question as to management group before we go ahead to do our lab. Any question, please? I know I can take any questions or contributions now. Okay, so in the absence of no question, let me ask us, how many of us here already has an Azure subscription? So we're about 8 currently in this meeting. How many of us? Probably you can signify by using the raise your hand icon. That way it gives me an overview of how many people has. Okay, I can see 1 person. Any other person? Okay, good. So we have just 1 person that has an Azure subscription. Good. That's fine. So what I'll need us to do is I'll need us to please bring up our browser and let's follow suit. Okay, bring up our browser so that we can see this demo and you can follow the steps. So let me use a new page. I may not be able to recreate because I already have. So what I will do now is I will show us. Okay, let me even do this. Let me stop sharing. Let anyone that is comfortable, with sharing the screen, that doesn't have a subscription, anyone that is comfortable sharing the screen, let that person take over. Why I'm saying this, please, is because I already have a ready-made environment. If I show you, there are some things that I already have, and the environment is different from what you'll be doing. That's why I'm saying anyone can please volunteer. Bring up your that is comfortable. If you're not comfortable, no problem. Comfortable, share the screen. Then I will use your environment because we're starting afresh to explain to the rest of the class.
Sorry,
okay,
do you
sorry,
mean like
something.
Yes, please.
Go ahead, Zainab.
no, it's Dolako. I was saying
Okay,
like, do
sorry.
I like need to have a laptop with me to share the screen?
Okay.
Okay, my own question is I wanted to know, like, you have the free subscription. How long does it last before you start paying, or I don't know? How
Okay,
does it
so
work?
the free subscription is usually available to us for 30 days. I guess. So after 30 days, that's what they call it, free trial. After 30 days, it will prompt you to, renew. Now, it doesn't mean all your services will not be there. You will still have your services. The only thing is the resources. You might not be able to deploy resources that you would be paying for, but you can still manage those ones that are there already. Let me show you, for instance, what I meant before um, I give room for someone to share the screen. The laptop is saying, oh, if I want to share the screen, I'm using a laptop. Yes, you can do so. what you would do is click on the icon that says share content. Okay, it will tell you, okay, what do you want to share? Then select desktop, and we can now take it through. Or you can select a particular window browser that you have spinned up. That's also fine. So you have option of either desktop or window, probably if you have opened a browser before. So that's if you want to show. But let me quickly show us something based on what Chema asked, please. So I have this other subscription. Let me see if I can bring up another. So portal Azure.com. So I'll sign in with that one. This is giving me a single sign in. Don't worry, I'll sign out and show you. So this subscription already has my MCT account tied up to it. So every month I get a renewal. So I'm always having a subscription. So let me show you what I mean by this account. So subscription. So it will show you that I have two. So this Visual Studio is it's a Visual Studio account, the type that some similar to what I want us to get, and this is tied to my MCT. So I get this renewal every month, $200 every month. Okay, and as long as I'm still MCT, I still have my MCT, I keep having it. So which means tomorrow, don't be scared. MCT is something you can always have. All you have to do is, write those certification, and you will have MCT. You have access to Microsoft resources, and you would have access to enjoy some benefits. Okay, so it's something you can even get it before. This is still our class. Probably at the end of this training is something I could encourage you, like, okay, try to write certification based on what you've learned so far in the fundamental. Okay, and take it up from there. But with your fundamental, I'm not sure you could get MCT. You may need to write exams like associates. Don't worry, we'll talk about exam, but I'm just saying the MCT thing is something anyone can get. There's just a prerequisite for you to get it, but anyone can become MCT, and you can get MCT. So these are my subscriptions for this account or this tenant. Now let me show you something. Now let me sign out from here. I'll sign into a different account. So I have this account, just Anish. Okay, so let's see if there's a subscription here. You can see you don't have a subscription. Now that's based on, okay, I had one time that's expired, I did not renew. Then I think I even tried to use my credit card at some point. I removed it, and also that. Now, does it mean my resources that I have are not here? Let's check. So these are resource groups. It will, I'll be limited to what I can see. Why? Because I do not have um, subscriptions associated to it. Moreover, it's been a while I use this. There's no subscription on it anymore. So I'm able to view services based on what I have done in the past, but I cannot, probably have a resource or use a resource because there's no subscription on it there. I don't know if you get me. So to answer your question, Choma, this will be available. We would have it for, I think, 30 days, but there's a point of renewal thereabouts. I'm not sure. Please, don't let me tell you something wrong. Okay, I'm not sure, but when we are doing this, why I said I'm not sure is, Microsoft bring things, new things every time to say, okay, fine, this benefit we want to extend it to 1 year or something. So I'm not sure of the current status. That's why I'm like, I know of the first 30 days. It's available. You get all the full features, all the full, benefits for first 30 days. After which, I don't know if there's a renewal or something. I'm not sure, except to be paid. I can't remember. So please let me not give out a wrong information. So who is assisting us to
Okay.
share screen, please?
I can share screen, but I'm going to be using my phone. Is that possible?
I don't know if you would.
I'm trying to
I'm not
share,
sure.
but I think it's loading and I don't know why it's not coming up.
Yes. Are you using a phone or a system, or I
I'm
mean a
using the
PC?
system.
Okay. So once again, there is this share content icon, usually very on the tray where you have your microphone and all of it. When you click on that arrow, it should display to you the things you can share. So I think it's coming up right now. Kemi, if you're sharing, I think it was coming up and we are not able to see again.
It's just rolling and I don't know why it's not coming up.
All right. I really do not want to put a burden on us. I'm just hoping we could use a fresh environment, fresh everything, so that we can start from the scratch. If not, I may have to use my environment and just tell you, okay, do this. What can you see? What can you see? And we'll take it up like that because it will have a different environment.
Okay, I'm trying to put on my system and see if I can share from there.
All right.
Anything. I'm trying to share.
Galapa, you're using a phone, right?
Yes, it's working, right?
Yes, it is. We can see
Okay.
yes, but it's going to we're going to have this limited view and all. It's going to be really tiny for others. You're doing the right thing.
Right.
Yes,
Okay, let me
let's
try desktop
okay.
side. Hello?
We are here. We can see what's going on. We see that you're trying to go to portal.azure. Yes, we can see what's going on. Just for the benefit of others, it might be tiny and very small. Because for me, I can see I'm just seeing the mobile shape and all. So which means we won't get a full view. You have to keep going left, right, scrolling up,
Yeah.
down. You understand? So I think someone else with a PC is trying to do so for us.
Okay, should I
But thank
stop?
you. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Dolapo.
I think the last screen was actually looking clear enough.
Oh, you guys can see it if you can. Oh, sorry, you ladies, don't mind me. I think I use guys all the
Yeah,
time. If you can see it, then fine, let's continue. I was considering you all, hoping, people are not like, oh, it's tiny, it's small, I cannot see. I know. If you can, please, Dolapa, let's move on. We have less than 30 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you. Please, let's move on. It was just, I was considering others, like people may not want to talk, but it may be small in their hand or something. But since I'm getting the feedback that is perfect, please let's move on.
Okay, so I'm there already.
Great. So we can see your screen.
Yeah, I think
Now,
since you already switched to the desktop mode, it's actually
Yes.
better.
all right, that's perfect. If since we're all complying. So what I need us to do is to go to my.visualstudio.com. I'll put the link in the meeting chat. My
Okay, I
dot
should this one.
Visual Studio. No, so you can skip this. We'll come back to that later.
Okay.
Remember, we're starting from the scratch. We want you to, subscribe, have an account and all. Dot Visual Studio. Visual Studio.
.com.
Yes, please. my.visualstudio.com. I expect others to also, follow suit. my.visualstudio.com. That's where we're going.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Okay, so I'm there already.
Okay, so it will ask you to use a particular account. I think this is a point where I should ask, do we have a Microsoft account, whether you have Live account or Outlook or Hotmail? This Microsoft account, do you have?
No.
This one from my school.
No, I wouldn't want you to use that of your school.
Oh, I think I have an Outlook account.
Okay. So if we don't have, it's something we can quickly create.
Okay.
I'm sure we all know how to create an Outlook or maybe Live account or.
I'm not sure I know. I don't even know
Okay.
what
All
Outlook.
right. Fine. All right. So,
You can just create
developer.
one.
In the meantime, I'll take over your screen so that we can help others who are starting from the beginning. And when we get to that point where I will need your help, so I'll just call on you, then you take over. So
Okay.
for the benefit of others, let me use my environment. So to start fresh. Okay, so we can go to outlook.com. So you would see sign in. Sign in is for those who already have, and create free account for those who just want to have an account. Are we together, please?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so go ahead. You can put it in a format. You can put it as your first name dot surname. Then you have the suffix of at outlook.com. Now you have either Outlook or Hotmail to choose from. Whether you want to choose Outlook or Hotmail is left to you. You can use your preferred. So you can use your first name dot last name, or you can have it as the initial of your first name and last name, or you could have it as your surname and your first name. Now, I would advise that you use a proper name. Now, this is not because of anything. It's just for future reference. You may use it in the future. If let's assume you want to write Microsoft certification exams, you'll be required to have, probably any of these Microsoft account attached to it. Then you can use it. Then there's a proper name rather than having something like talk to Tosin at outlook.com or Tosin12345 at one. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it would be nice, for convention to have a proper, naming. It could be your name dot surname. It could be your surname dot your first name. It could be your name and surname written together. Maybe something like this. Tosin Anishere. That's my name. And I can put it as dots, whichever one. Okay. So once you are able to do that, what you should do is next. It asks you to create a password. Then create your password. Then you can go ahead to do next. I really don't want to create. I'm sure I have like multiple accounts already. So please let me ask, after you've clicked next, what can you see?
To tell you to input your password, then after you save it, then it will take you to a screen where you have to type your name and everything.
Okay, so let's do so.
I'm sorry, please. What account are we trying to create here?
So you're trying to create a Microsoft account such that we can use it to claim benefit on my Visual Studio, and you can have a
So
subscription
type right?
for
Because
Azure.
I think in between I was having network issues.
Okay, glad it's fine now. Maybe I might just go ahead to create anyway so that we can follow together. So here I have to put my name, and let me go, if that's the case, let me do Hotmail. Okay, so next. So my name, my surname. Then it will ask me for my country. So go ahead, select your country, birth month. Go ahead, do that. Okay, so it will require information. So once you enter that, it will ask you to, you know, it will launch you in. So I don't know if we are following. You should ask you something like, what's your name? I don't know if you have passed there or you're still with me. It will ask you what's your name. After inputting your information, it will ask you what's your name, then next. Ask your country next. Then it will create this account for you. So solve the puzzle to know who you are. You might get this, you might not get this. So the reason why this is happening is I'm using in private, or should I say incognito. So it's trying to be sure I'm not a robot. So ladies, are we together? Is it launching an Outlook page like this for you? Please help me respond so that I can know we are together, please.
Yeah, it's still looking.
And if you want us to wait for you, please let us know. To like, just please wait for us,
I already
please.
got lost in between, so I actually gave up already. So I think I'm having
I
network
know.
issues, so I don't want to keep going
Oh,
back to back.
network. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But I believe you're following through, and it's something you can pick up and play with when the network is back, right?
Yeah. I'll try that. I'll just
Uh,
probably
you could refer to the video.
watch the video again. Watch the
Okay.
video.
Okay. All right. I'm so sorry to hear that. For the rest of the class, are we fine? Can we move on? Kindly respond,
Yeah, me, I'm
please.
fine.
We have
Um,
Okay, so we are together. We have successfully created a Microsoft account. You can use the raise your hand icon. That way I know like, okay, more number of people have that. Okay, I can say one person. Okay, we have two persons now. If you want us to wait for you, please signify. If we can move on, please let's move on. We have like 15 minutes more. At least if you can achieve creating today, then from next week we would.
This is the screen I have. I don't know if you can see what I have here.
Okay, good. I think you have gone ahead of us to my.visualstudio.com.
Okay, so I'm on the right track.
You are ahead. So for everyone that have created the account, you're doing my.visualstudio.com. So Kemi, you are on track.
Okay.
So choose the account that you just created when you go to my.visualstudio. So Precious, Chioma, I can see you guys you ladies have successfully created Microsoft accounts. So the next thing we are doing is go to your browser, type my.visualstudio.com. It will request you to sign in. So enter that newly created Microsoft account. In my instance, it is tosin.anisha@hotmail.com. This is what I created for myself. So you should get a page like we need more details. Are you able to get this?
I can't see your screen. No, I don't know if it's just me.
Oh, really? Let me do that again.
I can
How
see
about
it.
now? How about now? I hope you're not viewing Kemi's
Okay,
screen.
yes, I can see it.
Okay, because there was a time Kemi brought up a video for the class to, confirm. So how did I get here?
I can
I
see it
went
now.
to, okay, good. For the benefit of others, how I got here, I went to my browser, I typed my.visualstudio.com. From there, it brought me a page where I needed to sign in with my Microsoft account. So I inputted the newly created Microsoft account and it brought me to this page. Now, this page here is saying we need few more details such that we can complete. Then please click on continue. And it takes you right to this visualstudio.com, just like what Kemi was showing us. And this is an environment you should see. Okay, ladies, please, are we together before I click on anything on the screen?
Mine is
Yeah.
showing subscriptions and all that.
So you will see something like benefits, download, product key, subscription, and so on and so forth on the Visual Studio subscription. Yes, if that's where you're on the right page. I know the view may be different for those that are using mobile phone. I understand that perfectly. But once you can see Microsoft Visual Studio subscription, welcome to Dev Essentials. Yes, you're on the right page.
Okay.
Okay. So it brings a pop-up to you telling you welcome, you have this benefit for free. You have these terms and conditions you have to read. Please go ahead, click confirm. Okay, so it gives us this page where we can see benefit that are included with this subscription. You have the Microsoft 365 developer, you have app migration, you have Azure DevOps, Visual Studio, tons of them, just like what you can see on my screen. If tomorrow you are thinking of, okay, fine, I think I want to join the modern workshop aspect, that is the M365 class, you can just leverage on this to get your M365 subscription. You can get your Visual Studio. Think of it. So these are the many benefits. Now, what I need you to do next is to click on activate. So you see something like Azure, free account, $200. There are two Azures here. One is Azure DevOps. The other one is Azure. So what we'll be activating is that of Azure. Please, can you see that? If you can see that, click on activate.
Yes.
All right, please. So it takes you to the sign up page. Okay,
No.
so all right, so in here you have country, first name, last name, email, phone number. So I know sometimes this phone number is not something that is required, but can just go ahead to put it.
Sorry, please, can I ask a question?
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
So I was trying to create Microsoft account now, and it asked for like an email which I inputted, but it's giving me a message that my email is already a Microsoft account. I should try a different email address.
Okay, probably you've used it for this dev essential purpose before.
I don't think so. Maybe for Microsoft Teams, does that count?
Yeah, Microsoft Team is still a Microsoft product, probably for the M365 aspect. I don't know if you've done anything around M365.
No, just this particular class that we're having, just to create this app account. Unless I'm like I probably opened one without knowing, but I'm not sure of that.
Okay. Just wondering what you've done. Are you sure you said you already have? Okay, can you try going to portal.azure.com and use that particular email? Let's see if it takes you to the page, please.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just wait a moment, please. Let's see.
So it's asking me to sign in to continue to Microsoft Azure.
Okay,
So I
please
should use the
continue.
email address.
Yes, use that email address. Let's see.
Password.
Please enter the password or your password. Okay, so before now, when you create, it may not ask you all these features and all, but I think as of 2019 or thereabouts, it will ask for card details. You will not be charged. Okay, you will not be charged for this at all. It's just going to take the details, and we can move suit. So I'm going to stop sharing because of personal identifiable information (PII) to input card details and all, but you will not be billed. And before the end of this class, I will also show us how you can remove your card to say, okay, I'm done with this training, I just want to remove my card. And even if you don't remove your card, there is usually no automatic charges. It will ask you if you want to continue with pay as you go. Is when you click agree that it will charge you, and it will charge you for whatever is on your subscription. But I would not. I am giving you my word that I would not even let it get to that stage. Once we finish the training, even before the 30 days elapses and all, I would show us where you can remove this card, and I'll show us how to remove it. Even today, okay, there's no time, probably next week I'll show us, say, okay, see how you can remove your card, although there's no automatic charges, but this is how you can remove it. So I'll go ahead, stop sharing, so that I can put my card details. Chema, I see your hands up. I don't know if you want to ask a question.
No, it was the initial one.
Okay. All right, so I don't know if you're already filling details or not. So put your address details, please, if he asks you. All right, I'm sorry I'm not sharing my screen yet. Is PII, personal identifiable information, especially since this is something, this is a video that will be put out there. So I, I do not want to take chances.
You can hear me, but I inputted my card details and it's saying incorrectly formatted card holder name.
Okay, so it has to be the name, the exact name, the way it is on your
Or do I
card.
have to put space between the number the way it is?
No, you can write it together. That's not a problem.
This is not...
Is
Now
anyone
it's gonna
also
take
facing
brother.
a challenge? Is
Oh,
anyone facing a challenge, please?
Okay, you know him before.
If you're not speaking to us, please mute your
Do
mic.
then.
Please, if you're not speaking to us,
Oh,
mute your mic.
I'm
All right, thank
sorry.
you. That's fine. All right, for the rest of the class, please, I hope we're able to, get past um, this page. We have like 5 minutes more thereabout. I'm sure we'll still meet up. Once we create, that's fine. We'll just see the page from
I'm
next week.
sorry, I
We'll
just
continue.
got debited.
How much? 300 naira or
450
350?
naira.
Okay, good. I'm sorry that happened. It depends. So, um, this I can assure you that you will be refunded. You'll be refunded. If you don't get a refund, please tell me. I'll send the money back to you.
Okay.
That's because I'm very sure. I've used
Okay.
it. I've been using it for a very long time. And trust us, Nigerians in quotes, sometimes, most of the time, we like freebies. So we're always doing, okay, free this, free this. The essence of the debit is to be sure that account exists and you own it. A refund will be done back. That I
Okay.
am very sure. But please, if it's not done, I'll put my phone number in the meeting chat. I would refund your money. Yes. All right, please. Okay. Dates. So enter the state, do next, then there's an agreement and license. Once we do the agreement and
How
license,
code?
we
I
are
tried to input it, but I don't know. Let me see if this goes. Incorrectly formatted postal code. What's supposed to be on the
so
postal?
it depends on your area. So we have, postal code. That's the zip code for different locations. So there's that of Surulere, there's that of Yaba, there's that of you can use that of Lagos. If you don't have idea, you can just put on Google. So I think let me help you with one that of Lagos, zip code for Lagos. Maybe 1001. 1 minute. Let me just confirm zip code for Lagos. You can there's zip code for areas too. So zip code for Lagos, you have 100,212. You have 100,223, and these are usually based on your locations. If you are Surulere or you are Yaba or you are at Ikorodu, Ikeja, Lekki, Ajah, but you can just use the 10. That's 150s.
Okay, I
I'm
think I
sorry,
got.
401. That's 10000 in 4 places, then one. Okay. Once you're done, it will take you to the page of welcome. Okay. I think, let me see if I can share back my screen. It's time already and we are done for today, but I just want to be sure we all have the page up.
I think it's loading now.
Okay, it's loading. All right.
I think I'm done. I've opened the Microsoft page.
So you
Yeah,
should have this
quick
Azure
start.
page.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. So because the time is exactly 12 o'clock, I will not go for that, which
What
means
is
I will
this one?
stop here.
Uh,
You said what?
Can you see my screen? Is
I
this
don't
what
know.
I'm?
My own is giving me
Yes.
error. It's telling me check
Okay.
your card details, and I've checked everything. It's in order. I don't get why it's still giving me that error.
We should try another card.
Okay, so there's
Uh,
some supported cards like Master. I think it doesn't
it's
support
a
which one is
Mastercard.
okay. So
Oh,
sometimes if you get that error, just hold on. Then maybe much later. Don't forget what you're activating is Azure, not Azure DevOps. Just Azure. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So what we have, okay, right now what I need us to do is on the search bar, type subscription. So this is what we refer to as search bar. So type
Okay.
subscription.
Yeah.
Tell me, do you want a share screen? Because I
No,
see that you're trying to show us something.
no,
All
no,
right.
no.
All right. So sure, it will tell you subscription. So you should see some people can see something like Azure subscription one. Some people can see Visual Studio, subscription, depending. But you will get a subscription and it will tell you that you have notification of you have $200. Mine, I've used it, but you should get notification of that.
I'm not seeing any
Me,
$200. I'm just seeing the current cost is saying not available.
Okay, can you refresh, please? There's a
my
refresh
screen.
button by the bar. Refresh. It
Okay.
should give you a notification letting you know how much you have. Like you have $200. But if it's not giving you notification, that's not a problem. You should see the name of your subscription and letting you know your current cost is zero because you have not used it yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My current cost is saying not available. I don't get.
Okay, so your current cost is not brought up here, but you can see the name of your subscription, right?
Yes, Azure,
Yes, Azure subscription.
yes, one, yes.
Yes, Azure subscription one. Some people would see Visual Studio, some people would see Azure subscription one. Yes, we are good to go, which means we have subscription, and from our next class, we can start deploying. So right now, between now and next class, which is a week interval, you see that you still have your, dollars, your $200 in place because we have not deployed anything yet. We do not have resources in our environment, nothing. So our money will remain intact. This is just to prepare us. Again, let me show you what we are to do. It says lab, launch the Azure portal, take a look at it, explore home screen. I showed us with my environment during the demo, but next week we would also continue from here such that when we look at all the services we have, we go ahead to create services, which is going to happen in the next class. Core Azure workload product will be, creating resources like Kubernetes, containers, Azure VM, disk storage, and so on and so forth. We'll do that in the next class. Any question, please, as we have come to the end of the class. Apologies for taking 5 minutes of our time. It's not in our culture to do so. I guess it was because of the lab session, and I sincerely apologize, please, because I'm not supposed to take your time. So thank you all very much. Thank you for your patience, and I hope you were able to pick one or two things and understand one or two things with regards to Azure core services. See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.